Hey everyone, how's it going? So let's talk season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead and the future of the Walking Dead universe. So obviously, spoilers will be talked about in this video for the finale of Fear the Walking Dead season 6. And if you are new here and you want more Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead content like this, just make sure to be a subscriber. Just in case this is my last video for the night, I do want to mention that going forward, we will be focusing on the Walking Dead final season. I know for the last 2 months has been primarily Fear the Walking Dead, but going forward, we will cover the final season a lot more. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about Rosita and how her story is going to end and start that series and go through all the main characters. I'm just doing the main characters because I won't have enough time to do all of the side characters and stuff like that. So I'm going to do the main characters that have been with us for a long time and kind of talk about their journey so far and where I see their story ending next season. Yeah, I'll be starting with Rosita tomorrow, and then I'll just kind of continue through all the main characters. I should be done that pretty soon, actually. I'm planning to have that all done by Comic-Con, so it shouldn't take too long. There's not that many characters. What is that, 10 to 15 videos? It's not too long. I don't even think it's that much, 8 to 10 characters. I'll have to make a list and see, but it's not too much. As well, the podcast, we will be focusing a lot on the final season as well. I do want to talk about the final season in the upcoming one. I really want to focus on our thoughts on The Walking Dead kind of throughout. We've already done season 1 and 2's review. We've talked about those 2 seasons. We're going to do season 3 next week, or I guess this week, and then obviously season 4 or 5, this and that. Building up for the final season because we will be doing a review. So if you haven't followed the Forest Day podcast yet, the link for it is down below. We have a YouTube channel for it, but we are on Spotify as well. So the links for it are down below. Now, this finale didn't really address any Madison news, and I'm not going to talk too much about Madison in season 7 because there's not really any hints that she will be in season 7, but I will say they haven't downright just said, no, she's not coming back, right? Unless the showrunners say something about that, maybe on Talking Dead or something, but I know a couple of episodes ago, I think it was episode 14, I can't remember exactly which one, they mentioned something about her mom being dead or this and that, because I can't remember what his name was, but it was the character that was from season 4, and that's not confirmation. That's literally not confirmation. Just he probably thought that she died as well. The confirmation is likely going to come from the showrunners. If they say that Madison's dead, she's dead. But if now they're still saying, well, you never know, then there is that possibility because, she died on the show. They literally said she died. And back then, the showrunners were saying that Madison died. But if all of a sudden she's not dead and they're saying, well, you never know, then yeah, then obviously that is a possibility because they're changing their tune on that. So the other thing that was kind of, I think, actually, it was a big moment in this episode. And I do think it's going to be the big focus for season 7, or at least one of the focuses, besides the whole nuclear reaction and being able to survive and I guess being able to come up from underground and see if it's safe or not. The CRM, they are going to play a role next season because Daniel, Luciana, and etc., they are now with the CRM. They are with Isabelle. Now, there's only really 2 options as for how this can go. You're going to have the CRM drop Daniel and them off somewhere because you can't bring them back to base because I think that would be really bad for Isabelle and I guess her co-pilot, unless you do something different with why you're bringing them back. I'm not entirely sure as to how they accept people, because you would imagine that the Commonwealth would accept people, but I think it depends because it was a whole thing in taking Rick, and I don't know if they accept people that easily. I don't know how that works yet. What if someone I'm sure people have stumbled across the CRM, but how do you get accepted in there, right? And so I don't think that's going to happen for Daniel. So like I said, there's only 2 options. One, they're going to get dropped off somewhere when Isabelle has to get refueled, because she mentions in the finale that they'll have to refuel, or I think Althea might mention it or something like that, but that is likely one option. The other one is that they just take them to the CRM, but obviously, again, we just talked about why that could be very disastrous. So my prediction is that they're going to go to a refueling station. They're going to refuel, Isabelle will be there, they're going to talk about whatever, and then we'll kind of see where they go from there. I'm not saying that our group is not going to go to the CRM or anything like that. We could possibly get that, but before we do get anything like that, well, obviously, Daniel, Luciana, all of them, they all got to ask those questions, because they're all going to be wondering, why the hell is this helicopter here? And Althea, how long did you know about this? And what's going on here? There's a lot of those questions that need to be asked, and they will have to address that. I want them to get into the Isabelle storyline. And is Isabelle going to stay on the show now? Is she gonna be with Althea? I don't want them to keep teasing that for forever, right? Get to the point with that already. In season 7, just have Isabelle as a series regular or something. have her around, actually flesh out that story, do a CRM story if you have to, do something. Don't wait until season 8 or 9 because we've been waiting for since season 5 already and we're going on to season 7. So you gotta do something there. There's going to be some connections to the Rick movies. I already know it because like Gimple likes to connect the worlds a lot. And because the Rick movie is likely going to be filming in the next month or two, they definitely are going to be setting that up for when that movie is likely going to come out late next year. Because you got to remember too, like all of season 7, that will start fall, but it'll end around this time next year. So if it's ending spring, summer next year around this time, then we'll be gearing up to watch that Rick Grimes movie trailer. And so you want to set up a lot of Rick Grimes stuff there, right? Just more CRM stuff, just kind of get your audience and get people familiar with who they are. And so I can see that there's going to be some connection with them and like Morgan finding more about them. And Morgan eventually is going to be in these movies. Obviously, we know that. Like Lenny James hasn't said anything yet, 'cause I don't think he knows, but I'm sure that's in the works for like the second or third movie. He won't be in the first one, but maybe the second, and if not the second, he will likely be in the third. He's going to make an appearance for sure. I know it. And so that is my prediction for season 7, is that we're going to go into that direction. We are also going to go into a time jump. And so I hope that the time jump doesn't necessarily affect some of the CRM storyline, unless maybe it's directly connected. Maybe Daniel and all of them, maybe they stayed at the CRM the entire time, right? For the last 5, 6, 7 years, however long it'll be that for that time jump, maybe they've been there the entire time. And when we pick up with them, we see them exploring life, or just, it's not that hard to do because World Beyond did it, right? World Beyond had all those scenes where they're living normal life, so they can easily do it. Morgan's son, MJ, that I'm calling him now, he's going to have a big impact next season, especially if they do that time jump, because he's going to be however old that time jump's going to be, right? Like, right now, he's probably a year old. I don't know how old he was. He looked like he's about a year, I would say about there. So if they do a 5, 6, 7, 8 year time jump, he'll be like 6, 7, 8. He'll be a little bit older than RJ by like a year or two, right? So that's the future of The Walking Dead right there. Morgan Jr. and Rick Jr. They are the future of The Walking Dead, and that is just super exciting. What's being a father going to be like for Morgan, right? And if they do that time jump, I mean, if it's, just say it's 6 years, I'm going to go in the middle, say 6 years, right? So if it's been like, 5, 6, 7 years, then how's fatherhood been for Morgan and what is he like now, right? They're likely going to call him MJ, which is kind of cool because you gotta, I mean, if it's his son, same name, Junior, he could just call him Junior, but I imagine it's going to be MJ because Michonne called Rick Jr. RJ. You're not going to call him Rick. That's such a weird thing. His name is Rick. It's like his name is literally Rick Grimes. Isn't that crazy? And this boy's name is Morgan Jones, I guess. Technically, like, if they wanted to do a storyline in the future with them grown up, you're going to have Rick Grimes and Morgan Jones together. They'll be grown men, maybe like 30, 40 years old, but man, that is just badass. That's how you know those characters have to meet at some point. You want that reunion, right? And Morgan seemingly has lost the place he was building, so more proof that eventually they will move back to Alexandria or the Commonwealth, because that place eventually, over 20 years or so, at least if you're basing it off of the comic book storyline, it's going to encompass a lot of the United States. A huge portion of the United States is protected, so, it's not that surprising or hard to believe that Morgan would be back there and be a part of that. Another big thing that I guess they'll be focusing on in the season 7 premiere and early on next season is the fact that all the characters are split up right now, and that's similar to what we dealt with this season, and it worked out really well. So I imagine story-wise, they're going to do a very similar thing next season. You're going to have all the characters split up. Episode 1 will be about Morgan, Grace, and Morgan Jr. surviving. Episode 2 will focus on this, and etc. They'll do that for the first however many episodes, and then the second half, they're all back together again, and then you go into that, right? And so if you do it like that, then I can see how you can make Daniel, Luciana, all of them, I can see how you can make their storyline CRM related, because then you only have 1 or maybe 2 episodes that are like in the CRM, right? Like that is possible. You can easily do that. This way, it's not going to cost you too much where you have them a big part of your season for like, however many episodes. And that's really my predictions for it, like, I just really want to know where they're going to go next in terms of how they live, because the area is done. Like, all that we knew Fear was becoming has now been erased with that blast. How does Morgan live? Obviously, that community that he built is unlivable now. You can't, like, I'm not sure what happens next, but obviously they are going to have to stay with, like, in the area at least a little bit, because you can't just leave Alicia. You can't leave all of them underground. But they are all stuck underground. They're stuck there until, you know, again, 5-6 years. So I'm curious on that. I hope the radiation part isn't so ridiculous where they can stay, like, they've been filming now, so that's kind of cool. Whatever is going to happen is already going to happen, and we're likely going to get that trailer. I mean, it's June 13th now. I guess Comic-Con, right? But anyways, post all your thoughts down below for Season 7. What are your predictions? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.